Good morning, class. This is a letter written by one of you, and while I'm expecting other people's letter, I would like us to look at this. We'll take this as an example to avoid further mistake. Let me first of all appreciate this candidate for being the only person to do the right thing so far, and that happens to be Azeeza. Okay. On the assignment given, I expect everyone to type just like she has done. Now, there are two things why you need to type. Number one, for clarity. It makes your work clearer for the teacher to read properly. Now, secondly, which is also very much important, it also helps you to learn. There are spelling errors you will make that the computer will help you to identify by underlining it with a red ink. There are grammatic errors you will make, which the computer system will also help you to identify. So I expect that as you are writing and you see these red lines or blue lines, as the case may be, it is telling you that there is something you actually need to do. So in cases like that, please ensure to do the right thing at the right time. Okay? So beside that, we'll just look at, I'll just read this letter out so that for those who cannot see it clearly, we'll be able to know what has been written here. From the address, she has Romix International Schools at Jase Ikbo Road of a garage, Ilorin, Kwara State, 11th June 2020. Now, that is one feature of an address. From the question, you know, we are looking at a formal letter since she's writing to the PTF minister, asking him or her to consider other classes, because we said as a concerned student, you've heard that year 9 and 12 want to resume, and you also want yourself to resume and other people, so you're writing to the PTF minister, and not just writing to ask that other schools be other classes be considered, but you are also trying to suggest a way by which the virus will not be spread even when the consideration is being made. Okay? So the first thing is the writer's address, which she has written. But the issue I have here is the fact that the second line at Jase Ikbo road is supposed to be a capital R. Because when you're writing an address, try to make it what is called a title case. Just like you have the first line, Romix International School, you're supposed to have capital letter R, capital letter I, capital letter S for schools. But even on that first line, she has the small letter S. This is an error. It is an error of mechanical accuracy. So on the level of mechanical accuracy, your scores will go down. I just say the I is also supposed to be on capital letter I. The road is capital letter R. Okay, of a garage can be forgiven. Okay, now look at the June. June is a proper noun. She has written June in small letter J. And this small letter J is an error. You don't do that for a proper noun. Okay, she has punctuated the June, a comma after the June, which is also very good. Now, going down to the address of the receiver, she wrote PTF Minister. The R for minister is omitted. This is going to penalize you at the level of mechanical accuracy. So these things, you have to be very careful. The fact that I've asked you to type should help you to identify these errors. Besides the fact that she has not given me the R, there is still another error. Okay? The first thing you should do is the minister. Presidential Task Force Authority. That is the full meaning of PTF. If you don't even know what it means, you can write PTF organization or the Ministry of PTF is better off. It's just like writing, you are writing to the principal of Rumix, and then you are writing Rumix principal, or you are saying principal of Rumix. No, you say the principal. Then you come down to the next line to say Rumix International Schools. You mention the person's portfolio, the person's office. Then you come down to mention his or her office. So I expect you to say here, the minister. Then you come down to the next line to mention his office, which is the Presidential Task Force. I hope it's getting clearer to everyone, not just the writer, so that we don't make this same mistake. Now, Ilorin, Kwara State, which is okay. And then Dear Sama, very good. The title is Wonderful, Letter of Consideration. That's a very good one. And remember, she has written in bold letters, which is capital letters, no need for underlining. Now, I have a problem with her introduction. I would like you to consider my opinion as a concerned student, building up a bright future. An introduction is a place where you give us the situation, you paint the situation at hand. Talk about schools and resumption. Talk about the importance of school to all child. Talk about the fact that you've stayed at home for a long time. You may want to just discuss something about education. Paint the situation on ground. Okay? Now, if you don't want to paint the situation, you just want to go straight to tell him what you want to do. I am writing to seek your consideration for other levels of education to resume alongside with the year 9 and 12 students due to some vital reasons that will help the education system. You put it that way. Okay? Other persons can say something like, for the past 3 months, school children have been at home, and many are losing touch with their educational system due to the pandemic virus which has been ravaging the country and the world at large. Gradually, measures have been put in place to ensure that various sectors in the country resume duty with some practical measures to ensure safety and prevent the spread of the coronavirus. However, the school and some other vital organizations have not been put into consideration. Hence, with the present consideration, I feel that the Presidential Task Force can do better than what they have done. You know, try to discuss the situation on ground. If there will be a problem with you, Try to introduce what you want to say, but in this stage, in this manner in which she has written it, that I would like you to consider my opinion as a concern. You don't need to go that straight. This is too direct. Okay, let's continue. Building up a bright future, and then the next place said, and willing to do anything for her success and future. I think this should be news. Hearing the news that the year 9 and 12 are being made preparations to resume to school due to their upcoming. This is just one long line without punctuation mark. I take it again from the sentence, somewhere in the middle. Hearing the news that the year 9 and 12 are being made preparations. This expression is wrong. This expression is wrong. So please take note. Try to be sure of what you are writing so that you don't make grammatical errors. So with that, I'll jump to the next line. We all should be asked to resume because we all are getting closer to the examination class, and they say that the earlier we prepare, the better the results. Look at the spelling of getting here. It is wrong. Look at the spelling of earlier. It is wrong. And the computer system has underlined this. You should be able to know that there is a problem here. Now, this statement, we all should be asked to resume, does not look like somebody who is seeking consideration. It's as if you're fighting the minister, the PTF minister. You need to use language or words that will put you in a good position. So in cases like this, you try to use words that will pacify your receiver or the reader of your letter. First of all, you jot your points down. Looking at this letter, it is void of outline. If you have an outline, the plans of things to say, you consider yourself, okay, fine. Number one, you are in year 11, you are approaching exam class. 2, maybe you have another point of the fact that education is key for all child. You think of other points so that you pick them one after the other. Then you remember you are also going to suggest solution for the prevention of the spread of coronavirus in school. So if you have thought about your points, it will be easier. This is something many of you have not considered to do. Considering your points before you start writing. Okay, let's move on. We all resuming now helps us to gain our lost and forgotten skills, knowledge, or the things we learned in the past. And besides, education is our main and first priority. During this break, many of us stopped reading, especially the those of us that, can you see that? Especially the those of us that we read in group and then share our idea, which makes it easy for many of us, but we couldn't because we are not in school. Now, you can see what I'm reading. There are errors in this thing. Try to calm down, write your work, read them to yourself to avoid these little errors, because these are the things that will bring down your scores. They'll bring down your scores. So at the level of organization, this work is not organized. She has mentioned exam class. She has mentioned the fact that some people have lost their skill. She has mentioned the fact that education is the main and first priority for children. She has mentioned the fact that their group reading has stopped. Now, these are good points, but she has not organized them well. Now, how would she have done this organization? She would have discussed each of these points in separate paragraphs. That is one way. Another way is she can discuss all these points in one paragraph. And for me, I would even advise one paragraph, because since she is discussing two different things, which is what? The need for every other class to resume. As a concerned student, you want to resume as well. So you need to discuss the need for you to resume, why you think you should resume as well with the year 9 and 12. Then the other part of the letter is going to be suggesting ways by which when you resume, the coronavirus, which is a pandemic now, will not be spread in school. So in cases like this where you have two different things to discuss in a letter, I will advise that, okay, you mention one in a paragraph, mention the other part in another paragraph, so that your paragraphs don't become too much in one letter. So, for example, if she had said, there are reasons why we need to resume as well with other classes, such as the fact that education is a vital part of the child's life. You know, say every child needs education in school and should be given that opportunity no matter what to learn. Put a full stop there. You continue by saying, another reason why I think all other classes should resume is because there is this skill we acquire in school which we are now losing by the day. And if care is not taken, whenever we come to resume again, we may find it difficult to regain those skills again. Furthermore, in school, we have this teamwork, such as group reading, that promotes social relationship amongst students and develop the skill of cooperation and the spirit of teamwork work, which is now dying gradually by our staying at home. Now you can see how you end one point and launch the other. It is better that way. It's just like saying, I will go to the market in the morning to buy food stuff. Then proceed to the school to make payment of my ward's school fees. Having done that, I will proceed to my office to make arrangement for the meeting I will have in the forthcoming week. Nevertheless, I will not forget to go to my building site to supervise the building going there. Now you see the linking words I am using to introduce these different parts of the things I want to do in a day. So I need you to, as well, look for linking words to introduce these points. She has them, but she has just mumbled them together. Okay? I will take it again for you to see what I mean from her own presentation. We all resuming now helps us to gain our lost and forgotten skills, common knowledge to all the things we learned in the past. And besides, education is our main and first priority. During this break, many of us stopped reading, especially, she's just telling us the situation. You are telling us what has happened. You have not introduced them as a need. You are just telling us what has happened with the lockdown, with you staying at home. But you are supposed to discuss them as a need. Telling me that students have not been reading is different from telling me that we need to open schools so that students who have been doing this will continue doing them as it will help them. So you have to introduce your point carefully. And if you take time to read down, you will see those points. All what that paragraph has done is to tell us what has happened with the recent lockdown, how it has affected the students. We needed to bring them up as needs. Now, next paragraph. As this is to take place as fast as possible, I would also like to suggest ways we can protect ourselves and to prevent the spread amongst students towards the resumption. Now, this is one thing I love here. I love the fact that she introduced her next line of action. Okay? She has introduced her next line of action so that whoever is reading her letter will know that, okay, she has a suggestion to make. That is lovely. That is wonderful. Now, I expect that by doing that, she will move straight to another paragraph to begin to talk about those suggestions. But she just continued on that line. Please take note. Okay, let's continue. By making sure students frequently clean their hands with alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. Also making sure students cover their nose and mouth with their flexed elbow or disposable tissues when coughing and sneezing, which is to be disposed immediately and properly. And by also making sure students avoid those close contact with anyone or classmates that had fever or cough, and the person should be taken care of immediately. Now, this is how she has just suggested her point. Now, these suggestions are enough because she has mentioned about 3 or 4, but that is not just enough. Add flesh to your point. That is the beauty of essay writing. You add flesh to your point. One suggestion I would make is to ensure that there is frequent washing of hands with alcohol-based sanitizer in schools, as one of the recommended measures by the World Health Organization and the NCDC to prevent contraction of the virus in schools. Another way is to ensure that there is social distancing practiced and monitored in school to avoid contact with persons that may be affected. You see the way I've introduced this thing now? By doing this, you are fleshing your points. You don't just mention them and then you drop them like that. That is poor expression, which is one of the things that will be checked in your writing. Express yourself. Expression in your marking scheme means how are you able to express yourself? Were you able to explain your points properly to the people? Were you able to drive your points down? That is expression. Very, very important. Mechanical accuracy is your sentence construction, your punctuation mark, your spelling. How did you arrange your words? Organization is your points. How did you organize them? How did you arrange them? Did you table one after the other? Was there introduction? Your address, how did you arrange them? Your title, was it there? Or do you have conclusion? That is organization. Did you bring the points you're supposed to bring first? Paragraphing, how did you do it? That is organization. Content is what have you written? Is it in line with what you were asked to write? Are they up to the number of words required? That is what content is about. Expression is how were you able to express yourself? How were you able to explain your points? How were you able to flesh it? How did you explain for people to understand? Did you just tell somebody in a quarrel, for example, I don't like eating semo with white soup? No. Somebody who said, I don't like eating rice with stew on Sundays is different from somebody who will tell you why he doesn't like eating rice on Sundays, what it makes him do, how it affects him, what made him to put that law of not eating that rice and stew on Sundays. So express yourself. Now let's look at our conclusion. I hope all I have said can help you to consider we students. We are really looking forward to giving us feedback because we will be overjoyed. Fine. At least she has a conclusion. Okay? She remembered that I need to have a conclusion, even though the conclusion is not okay for me. And this work is not organized. You can see some of the points, some of the paragraphs are just looking as if she just jumped them. Look at some words which are supposed to be with the other are just going on as if they are different lines. Probably she was so much in a hurry and could not do it right. Okay? But then, the fact is, she has a conclusion. But please, I want this correction to be a correction for all. A correction for all. Take time to play this again so that those of you who have not done your work will be able to do it again. I hope that is clear. Now, Brenda Bart submitted her work. It was not typed. Please type your work and upload. While you are typing, ensure that you pay attention to red lines, blue lines, green lines, or what have you, and read your work again after writing so that you can avoid all these little errors. They help you to know where to put punctuation marks. Where you have green line underlined, highlight the work, right click, let it show you the supposed thing to write. Develop outlines before you start writing. Develop your point before you start writing. Organize your work well. You can't run away from essays. So do the right thing, please. Look at her ending, yours faithfully, signature, and then Azeeza. Very okay on that level. So I hope this goes a long way to help others to understand the right thing to do. And I'm expecting every other person's work. Only Brenda Bart has shown seriousness outside Azeeza. So please, let's do the right thing. Thank you.